Well, good morning. I want to thank everyone for being here to examine what social media companies are doing to combat terrorism, including terrorist propaganda and terrorist recruitment efforts online. The positive contributions of social media platforms are well documented. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, among others, help to connect people around the world, give voice to those oppressed by totalitarian regimes, and provide a forum for discussions of every political, social, scientific, and cultural stripe. These services have thrived online because of the freedom made possible by the uniquely American guarantee of free speech and by a light-touch regulatory policy. But, as is so often the case, enemies of our way of life have sought to take advantage of our freedoms to advance hateful causes. Violent Islamic terrorist groups like ISIS have been particularly aggressive in seeking to radicalize and recruit over the Internet and various social media platforms. The companies that our witnesses represent have a very difficult task, preserving the environment of openness upon which their platforms have thrived while seeking to responsibly manage and thwart the actions of those who would use their services for evil. We are here today to explore how they are doing that, what works, and what could be improved. Instances of Islamic terrorists using social media platforms to organize, instigate, and inspire are well documented. For example, the killer responsible for the Orlando nightclub shooting, in which 49 innocent people were murdered and 53 were injured, was reportedly inspired by digital material that was readily available on social media. And this issue is not new. Over the course of several years, YouTube hosted hundreds of videos by senior al-Qaeda recruiter Anwar al-Awlaki. Although the company promised in 2010 to remove all videos that advocated violence, al-Awlaki's Call to Jihad video, in which he advocates for Western Muslims to carry out attacks at home, remained on the site for years. In fact, a New York Times report suggested that al-Awlaki videos influenced the Fort Hood terrorist, the Boston Marathon bombers, and the terrorist attacks in San Bernardino and Orlando. This issue is also international in scope. In response to recent terror attacks in London, British Prime Minister Theresa May has been especially outspoken in calling on social media platforms to do more to combat the kind of radicalization that occurs online. Last fall, for example, she was joined by other European leaders in calling upon social media companies to remove terrorist content from their sites within 1 to 2 hours after it appears. As we'll hear today, the companies before us are increasingly using technology to speed up their efforts to identify and neutralize the spread of terrorist content. In a recent blog post, Facebook said that artificial intelligence now removes 99% of ISIS and al-Qaeda-related terror content even before it can be flagged by a member of the community, and sometimes even before it can be seen by any users. YouTube is also teaming up with Jigsaw, the in-house think tank of Google's parent company Alphabet, to test a new method of counter-radicalization referred to as the redirect method. Seeking to redirect or refocus potential terrorists at an earlier stage in the radicalization process, YouTube offers users searching for specific terrorist information additional videos made specifically to deter them from being radicalized. A little over a year ago, Facebook, YouTube, Microsoft, and Twitter committed to sharing a database of unique hashes and digital fingerprints of some of the most extreme terrorist-produced content used for influence or recruitment. By cross-sharing this information, terrorist content on each of the host platforms will be more readily identified, hopefully resulting in faster and more efficient deletion of this material. Essentially, these companies are claiming that they can tag individual videos and photos, and using automation can kick them off their platforms before they are even seen. We all have a vested interest in their success, and I believe this committee has a significant role to play in overseeing the effectiveness of their efforts. I do want to thank Ms. Bickert, Ms. Downs, and Mr. Monhay for being here as representatives of their companies. To Mr. Watts, I look forward to hearing your thoughts about disrupting and defeating terrorism. And with that, I will now recognize the ranking member, Senator Nelson, for any opening statement he'd like to make. Senator Nelson.